Hello and welcome back to the 5th week of the 6-week latte art bootcamp. This week we're going to learn how to pour a swan. Now if you're watching this episode, then hopefully it means you've spent a little bit over a month practicing the more basic designs and you're ready to tackle something a little bit more advanced. But if you haven't nailed the Rosetta, the heart and the tulip pours yet, I definitely recommend watching the rest of the series first and practicing those pours before you try to get the swan happening. But if you're ready, make sure you subscribe to the channel and let's get stuck in. Now the swan is a great tester of your latte art skills as it combines a number of elements that we've already learnt. The pattern has a Rosetta base for the lake that the swan is on, another Rosetta style wiggle pour to create the wings of the swan, a tulip style bulb pushed in to create the swan's body, some jug movement to create the neck, and finally a heart to create the swan's head. And if you can do all of these elements individually, it's just a matter of practicing over and over to put all the things together. So let's walk through it step by step. As always, we're going to start off our pattern by setting the crema. Now previously we've waited till being about 3/4 full in the cup to start our pour, but this time around we just want to do half full. This will give us a bit more time to pour the pattern, and otherwise if we don't do this with all these different steps, we might end up with a headless swan. So once your crema is set, the first step is to pour the lake that the swan is going to sit on. So push in the bulb and start to wiggle like you're making the base of a Rosetta. And once your Rosetta starts to wrap around, stop the pour to complete the lake. Next up, we're going to create the wings of the swan. So we're going to push another bulb into that lake. If the structure and everything falls apart here, maybe you've either got milk that's a little bit thin, or you've made the lake a little bit high in the cup, and it causes everything to collapse. But if you've done well, you should be able to push that bulb in and then wiggle up to the top of the cup to create the wings of the swan, in the same way that you create the second half of a Rosetta. Now for the next step, we want to create the body of the swan. So with a Rosetta, we'd normally cut down through the center of the pattern. However, for a swan, we want to drag down the side of the pattern instead. So once you've done this, just hold the jug there for a little bit and allow a bulb to form for the body. The last thing we need to do is draw in a neck and create the head for the swan. So this is done with a little bit of a swinging motion close to the crema so that the white is drawn on as we go. So draw the jug up from the bulb to create the neck, and then push in one more bulb for the head and then pull through. So you can either pull straight down or pull through to the side to create the different shape of the swan's head. Now this is quite an advanced pour, so if you've just been pouring hearts, rosettas and tulips up until now, the first few times you're going to muddle up the elements. It's going to feel like you're never going to get it. But just keep practicing each step one after another, and sooner or later it'll feel like you have a lot more time when you're pouring in the cup. Now a couple of things to consider. Your milk texture here is really important. So too thin, and as I mentioned before, all of the elements will kind of collapse on each other. If your milk is too thick, you'll end up with a really fat or blobby swan. Make sure when you're doing the lake at the start of the pattern that you leave room for the rest of the pattern in the cup. The spacing is really important to make sure that the final pattern will look like a swan. Of course, when you've mastered this pattern, the world's basically your oyster. You can create a different style of swan with 2 sets of wings. You can use these skills to create all these different patterns in the cup. I hope that you've really been enjoying this series so far and that your latte art has improved a lot for the series. If it has, just hit that like button because it really helps the channel. Now next week, we're going to do a troubleshooting video and we're going to cover all of the things that have stopped you from making great latte art. I have some pictures already, but if you have any questions, make sure you put them in the comments below. And if you're brave, you can also send me pictures or videos to my Instagram, which is @thecoffeefusion, and I'll use those as examples next week. Remember, if your hopper's looking a little bit empty, make sure you grab some coffee from the website. You can either use the code LATTEART for 20% off coffee, or you can sign up for a subscription and get a free sample pack to try all of my coffees. Thanks again for watching my videos, and I'll see you next week for the last episode of the 6-week latte art bootcamp. Until then, keep frothing.